All right. Woo. How you doing? Man, I was working out a little bit. I was working up a bit of a sweat here, and I thought my brain was going. I wasn't gonna do a video for you tonight because I posted a video this morning. Excuse me. That was supposed to be uploaded last night. And I got up this morning, it never uploaded. So I had to delete it, upload it again. So you already got a video this morning. Excuse me. You know the line. You think it's mustache wax, but it's not. I just do that because it cracks me up. I wasn't going to do this, and then I got a note from a guy. I think it was last night. I got it right here. I'm going to read it to you because it made me think. And also because I know my hair freaks me out in these videos. So yeah. Once we get into this subject matter, you're going to be like, oh man, this guy's got all kinds of issues. This probably explains it. All right. The new computer here. Let's just read this for you here. Tom C. You laughing? You're watching this with your wife, right? Yeah, it's you, man. This is the reason I'm doing this right now. So he writes me this note, says, I was doing something in the video, right? I think it was me saying a couple times in the video, I'm all alone, man. And I was explaining how, you know, I work for myself. I got to do everything for myself on top of it. So I'm sometimes not as productive in the course of any given day as I'd like to be. Because if an errand needs to get run, I got to do it. If I got to go grocery shopping, I got to do it. And I don't have, because of what I do, excuse me, I'm physically spent, man, you know, at the end of the day. And I don't really have that kind of energy at the end of work to get up and go shopping or do something else. I basically want to get horizontal, relieve my mind in whatever manner I choose, and, you know, watch a flick or something. Go to bed, get up tomorrow, start it all over again. So throughout the course of the week, on any given day, I'm going to find time to run that. Usually when I break for lunch is when I'll go to the store or whatever, post office, whatever I got to do. So I was just basically pointing out how I didn't get to where I wanted to get on that table. Excuse me. It's late in the afternoon. I haven't spoken a word. I haven't spoken a word since yesterday afternoon to anybody. So anyhow, Tom sent me this note, and he says he's talking about having like a woman in your life, basically. It took me a minute to understand what he was talking about, but you'll get it. It says, you could have it, Mike, if you wanted it. A good friend of mine had a few relationships throughout his life, but he never got married. There's something in you and him that refuses to accept you might be better off with a mate. That's an assumption. It's okay. We all do it. I'm not going to hold it against you. You value your independence too much is my guess. Well, you're guessing. There's some truth to that. We're going to get into it. He says, I get it, and you might be right, but it's difficult for us married dudes and women to see someone with everything, which is a compliment, so thank you. I don't think that highly of myself, but I truly appreciate that. Going on not... yeah, you kind of didn't write this sentence right. What you wrote was, with everything going on, not have a significant other. I think you meant to say, going on to not have a significant other, to share life with. Looks, personality, work ethic, you have it all, but no life partner. You could find one if you cared to, as there does exist a woman who will match your needs to a T. Yeah, well, that's a tall friggin' order, bro. No. Match me to a T. Where I lost it. Who will match a T, but you have to go out looking for her. Again, if you care to. That might be an interesting Sunday. Might be an interesting Sunday chat. Your outlook on what type of relationship you'd like at this point in your life. Cheers. Cheers to you, Tom. So, sorry I butchered that, you know. Okay, here's the thing. that question is fantastic because I've been thinking about this subject, mainly because since I've always gotten this. This is nothing new to me. Like, this is all my friends, all my married friends, people in my family. Uh, I'm kind of hot from working out. my head's overheating, and especially friends of mine with kids, and they know how good I am with kids. For decades, have given me the same sort of talking to, you know. And then a lot of dudes I know that have kids, they've always said, "Dude, you'd be a great dad." You know, I had one guy telling me years ago, "Just knock somebody up." I just not. I'm a righteous human being, man. I can't even if I'm dating someone and then I know it's not going to work out. I'm not going to stay in that relationship. It's not good for me. It's not good for them. I'd rather see you go off and find something else. I'm not going to, keep. And, there's a lot of people, men and women I know, that'll stay in a relationship just for the sex or for some other reason. Like that other person does things for them or they can help them get ahead in life, that sort of thing. I would never do that. I would never do that. I've never lied about anything. I don't tell somebody I love them because I want to get into their pants. I'm not that kind of guy. And the I want to say this too before I get too far along here. All right. One of the reasons I haven't broached this topic with you guys is that I don't want to come across as pompous or too full of myself or it's just that I've had a pretty wild life, when I was younger and I wasn't thinking about it. If you, to answer that question, like, why are you single? Why didn't you get married or whatever? I'd have to, like, to give you the real answer to that, I'd almost have to answer that from every different decade, like what was going on at that time in my life, why I didn't want to do it, all the way to where I am now, where I am now, more than willing to. It would be nice, actually. But, I have been living alone on my own since I was 14 years old. It's what I know. I've gone out with women before who spent time with me, just a few dates, and they've looked right at me and said, "Wow, you don't need anybody." That's a hard thing for a lot of women. A lot of women want to be needed. I have a different take on that. I don't want someone to have to depend on me not that I'm not dependable, but you shouldn't be depending on anybody else for your happiness or your survival or any of that. I'm attracted to somebody who's self-sufficient. I hate laziness, man. And there's a weird thing in our society, and I know it's, I'm speaking in general terms, ladies, so please don't take anything I say personally. This is not about you. I don't even know who you are. Don't make it about you. So it's one of those things. It's one of the issues I have. Women making things about them, or the way I speak about something where I'm trying to get to a point, I meander around a little bit to build up a scenario in your mind whereby by the time I get to the point I want to make, I know that you're fully capable of understanding it on all the levels that I've built it upon. But a lot of people don't have that kind of patience. Like, I got a very good friend out here, one of my best friends, a woman, cuts me off all the time and talking. And when I point it out to her, she'll say, "Well, you do that too." Not to that extent. Like, I can't even get a sentence out. And we all are susceptible to that a little bit. That's a psychological thing. Somebody's talking, you think of something, you want to blurt it out so you don't forget it. But it's also rude to do so when somebody's still talking and they haven't even made their point yet. The other thing that I find with a lot of women is that while I'm going through my spiel, that's not the right word. Spiel implies that it's not rooted in genuineness. But you know what I'm saying. If I say something or touch upon something that irks you, you stop listening to everything else I'm saying. And then when you're waiting for a pause in the conversation so you can attack me on the point that I made 3 minutes earlier. That's very annoying to me. So I'm just putting that out there. Now, look, I'm going to share some personal stuff here, which I've never done publicly before, but it should be obvious to a lot of people. I've got mommy issues. Like, My mother was a piece of work, man. You know, like if I was to really sit here and explain all the stuff that happened in my life with women, starting from my mom, it would be a miserable video, man. I'm telling you, you guys would be crying. I'm telling you, I have every excuse to not trust women and never give a woman a chance based on my personal experiences. Now, I've worked on all that, and I'm fortunate that even when I was young and I was experiencing these things, I knew it wasn't my fault. Right? I'm going to tell you something right now. It's the truth. It's a hard thing for people to accept. And when I tell women this, they kind of gasp at it. But I just got to put it out there we have to start from a base, right? So you understand me. But my earliest memory, and I can only talk about this now because my mom has passed. My first memory is my mother taking my diaper and shoving it in my face. Yeah. And there's more to it too, because I got up and I ran into the living room. I was still in diapers, but I was just walking. I can remember all the way back to being very little in diapers, obviously. And how my dad reacted to that, because that wasn't cool. Yeah. So, and she was very bad. Like she was abusive physically and mentally, all that stuff. And not a great mother. And she was kind of bipolar because there were moments where she'd be all lovey-dovey, but then she'd be beating the shit out of you, man. And pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. I'm not going to elaborate any more on that. And then just dealing with women coming up too that I don't lie. I don't lie. I got caught lying a couple times when I was young, and it was such a horrible feeling that I decided I won't lie about anything anymore. That's just how I am. But plenty of women in my life have just outright lied to me about all kinds of things, and that's such a horrible thing. I'm just honest, which is another problem for dating women, because they say that they want somebody who's honest, but you really don't want somebody who's honest. You want somebody who's going to tell you what you want to hear. That's the truth. So, and I'm pretty good at that. And I can tell you the positive stuff and ignore the stuff that's not so positive. You know, all the right stuff. I'm a human being. I care. I have empathy. I'm not an ogre or anything like that. I love women, and women have always liked me, going way back to when I was very young. It was weird. I didn't know how to deal with it. Matter of fact, that's probably, we're touching on the number one reason why I am single, which is I never learned the skills to pursue a woman of quality. Because every time I turned around, there was some girl smiling at me that just wanted to get naked. And I thought that was normal. So I was like, okay, fine, woohoo, let's do it. And I did it. Boy, howdy, did I do it. A lot. And so, at this point in my life, I don't have that drive anymore as far as like hunting that out. Because to me, that's not, I could care less about getting laid. Honestly, I had plenty. It would be nice. I'd love to have a steady. You know, my body is still producing testosterone. I'm ready to go all the time, every single day. I just got to take care of it, you know? So that's it. It's almost not at my age. It's different for young guys. If you're young, this is something I don't like, is young guys that know me, some of whom I'm related to, some of whom I know through friends, some of my friends' kids, other young guys I've met, workplace stuff like that. And my friends' kids, because they'll say things. I'll hear it from their parents, my friends, where they'll say, hey, Sandy wants to be just like you, you know, have a house with cool stuff and guns and do whatever he wants, whenever he wants to and everything else. And what I'll do is I'll seek that kid out and talk to him. I'll say, you should not be like me. Because it's not a lot of people that can handle living like this at this point in my life. Like a lot of people are, I'm very good at being alone because it's what I know. A comedian said a long time ago, and I wish I could remember who it was, because this goes way back to when I was a kid. I just remember some comedian saying something like, it's a choice between being happy or being annoyed. You know, like, I don't want to be annoyed. I hate being annoyed. I don't want to have to talk all the time. I'm a talker. Everyone, like a lot of my friends are laughing right now. I can talk. I like talking, and I like to have conversations about things that matter, you know, important things or things that I find curious. I don't want to talk about your friends' love lives. I don't want to talk about other people's drama. I don't want gossip in my mind, especially if I don't know those people very well. Not only is it none of my business, it's none of your freaking business. You know, people's personal lives, which is another thing. Just going off the rails a little bit here, as I've gotten older recently, you know, friends of mine, couples and whatnot, and women I know. There's a couple women I know that we're close, we're friends, and I'm like, I put it out there. I'm like, hey, you know, and we have had these honest conversations where they're at a stage, they're over 50, you know, they're at a stage in their life where they're just not even interested in having sex anymore. That blows my mind. And one of them said to me the other day, she says, Mike, well, the reason why you want to have sex is because you're a man. You know, you're producing testosterone. You know, and I'm like, okay, I get it. But how could you not want to do that anymore? Especially if I find them attractive and they still look good. It's like, what a waste, man. So yes, I've had plenty of girlfriends, but I am a little bit like I've been like my buddy Sabo goofs on me a lot. He'll attack me even publicly on his podcast. He likes to fuck with me on that. He says I'm like the Shallow Hal character, or the guy who played Costanza on Seinfeld. He's in that film. He's like he's going out with some supermodel, and they look down at her feet. She had that one long toe, you know. And that was the end of it. I'm kind of like that. I'm a little bit like that. And by the way, if you've got like a creepy long toe, like exceptionally long second toe, if I had that, I probably would have done it on my own. I just hack that fucker off, man. Cut that toe off, right? So it's even with all the other ones. It's going to heal fine. And then I would have learned how to tattoo. I would have tattooed a little toenail on there. It would have looked perfect. If I would have had one of those toes and done that, I'd probably be a professional tattoo artist by this point in my life, you know? Just cut the thing off, man. Fix it, is all I'm saying. But I'm funny. I'm funny about feet and hands and all that stuff. It is funny. You know, people just... I don't... Am I really that different when it comes to that stuff? Like, there's a pheromone thing. There's a scent with people. There's skin types. There's some things. Like, I look at some people, and I mean, not to be graphic about it, but I'm like, grossed out in a way to a certain degree with certain physical attributes on some humans. I've been with plenty of women that are like, in my mind, right, so how I see it, are physically perfect. And saying that doesn't mean they were all the same. It's not like I have an exact type, but I do know what I like and I know what I don't like. But putting the physical aside, happy person. Somebody who's already happy, self-aware, self-reflective, doesn't take themselves too seriously, has a sense of humor, can laugh. You know, I actually like those corny people that a lot of other people find annoying, the types of people who are happy all the time, knowing that nobody's happy all the time. We all have our moments in our days. I get it. But you know what I'm saying. There are those people. The good ones are always taken. They're all taken. Those are the ones. The women who are cool, man. And they get up in the morning and they think, what are we going to do today? What can we do today to be happy? That's the kind of person I want to be like. Now, in my family, that didn't exist. My mother was not one of those people. All right? The other women in my family, they're not those kinds of people. Where I come from, there's not a lot of that. Jersey, there's this constant just busting your balls kind of thing, nonstop. The girls too, and they think that that's cute. I got news for you, ladies. Nobody likes a ball buster. You know, you could do that between you and your significant other privately for fun. That's a thing. But publicly in front of other people, all that stuff, I don't like that shit at all. Like, that's a thing with me too. Publicly, when I'm with somebody, what our relationship is like is a thing. I don't want to pretend to be something we're not. But there's certain things, like just a mutual respect for one another. I'm not going to do something in public purposefully, that's for sure, to make you look bad. I expect the same from you. But yeah, so intelligent, funny, positive minded, positive outlook, can do kind of person. Um, but that also has the time for me. You know, I got to try to find the time for her. That's another problem for me right now. Like, go out and find it. Yeah, with what free time, man? You know, I don't have that kind of free time to be going out looking, and I don't go out anymore. Now, when I'm not in LA, I'm out having a good time. The Mike version that you get when you meet me, not here. Like if I'm in Tacoma visiting Sarah, or if I'm on a road trip, or I'm back home in Jersey or anywhere else, everything's golden, man. I'm a happy guy, having a good time, very gregarious, all that. But here, I get up in the morning, I do what I got to do on the computer and whatnot. I go to work, I work my ass off, I'm beat up, I come home. And throughout the course of the day and in the early evening, I don't talk to anybody after 8 o'clock. That's a rule I made for myself. 8 p.m. I'm done because I need my own headspace at that point. But I have long conversations with multiple people many times throughout the week. So my time is pretty well eaten up. And yeah, so that's just how that is. And I've done it. I've tried to do a little dating. I've tried to do a little online dating. It doesn't really work. I tried a couple things, and you know, there's been some funny stories. I don't know. I don't even know what anybody wants anymore, especially at this age. Like, there's an age range for me. You know what I mean? What am I? I can't. You know, I obviously women of all ages are. Again, not to be full of myself, but yeah, women of all ages are attracted to me. I'm attracted to women of all ages. I've never been an ageist. When I was in my 20s, I dated some women all the way up into their 50s. And now that I'm in my 50s, I'll date women of pretty much any age, really. I don't know. I having said that, I haven't really been with anybody like really young in a long time. I'm trying to think. Because there was, I know in 2011, but that's a long time ago already. 13 years ago. So I was dating a woman who was like half my age, this Korean girl. Didn't trust her though. She would just say the weirdest things to me. I was going to go off into all these things. I had these stories I wanted to say, and I feel like I'm losing my motivation for the whole conversation because it's a weird conversation to be having. But there that is, you know. I kind of think like maybe with this whole YouTube thing, maybe I'll be out and about and somebody will know who I am and be like, oh, this guy's, because that's how I met Sarah. You know, like I had this vibe with her before I met her where I was like, you know I'd get along with her. Now I'm not interested in a romantic thing with Sarah. We're friends. Perfectly cool with being friends with Sarah. But that's sometimes that can happen. Like you can see somebody on something. There was a girl years ago. I was on this TV show, The Love Connection with Chuck Woolery, you know, and they get letters, people see on TV. And they had this one particular letter that they thought was good enough that they wanted to pass it on to me. And it was this girl in New York City. And she was real sweet. And we connected and she came out and we hung out. And she was a really interesting girl, but that was her thing. As a matter of fact, she ended up marrying a guy that was her local TV newscaster. She was just one of those people. She had to be with somebody that she saw on television. It's so weird, man. But I am a little bit on the picky side, but I think you should be. I remember this guy with the Cretans I used to ride with. I forgot to look at the friggin' watch again. I went to this bar a long time ago, and this was the dude. His nickname was the Bastard. He could be a real bastard. But in a public setting, he was kind of like the ambassador to the club. Like he would be the guy that would walk up to some new guy who's around and start talking to him, pick his brain, see what kind of person you are. And he did that to me. And he was saying to me what Tom was saying. Wow, look at you, man. Good looking guy and everything. You probably have any girl in here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you know, he goes, standards are too high. He says, dude, you want to be happy in life, you got to lower your standards, right? And just as he says this girl comes around. I had seen this girl in the bar. Kind of fat, jumping around, obnoxiously drunk, boobies kind of flopping out, you know, being really, I'm like, oh, man. Just as he says, you got to lower your standards if you want to be happy. those words had just come out of his mouth, and she comes around, gives him a hug, gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he introduces me to her as his girlfriend. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm not lowering my standards that much to be happy, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna be happy. I'm gonna be fucking embarrassed. That's fucking embarrassing, bro. Like, what the hell? It was crazy. So, yeah, I don't want to lower my standards. Okay, certainly not to that point. Gee whiz, man. And it's funny too. I think there's some women out there, man. You know what you need as a man, as what I think I need, what I know I need. I need the pretty girl that doesn't know she's pretty. There are women, a lot of women, I know them, I've gone out with them, I'm friends with a lot of them, who think that they got the power, man. We all know this. Women got the power, right? Because they got what the man wants. Men are going to do all kinds of crazy. They're going to play music and be rock stars. They're going to make a bunch of money. They're going to do all kinds of things. Drive a cool car, whatever it is, wear the clothes, do all this shit that they got to do to score. I've never done any of that. Because I think that's crazy. I understand it. Not my thing. But there are women who think once you sleep with them and they think that that's been good, that they got you. They don't have to do anything else. You got to keep up on yourself, man. Like, well, I mentioned the hands and feet thing. I'll tell you a funny story. There was a girl, I knew her. I knew her for years. She was in this, excuse me, this group of people, it's a conservative group of people. It's through my friend Sabo, the artist. And I think when I first met her, she was married. She was married to a guy for 7 years. Didn't work out. He was a narcissist and a liar. And based on what I know from her and other people, it's true. This guy was a real piece of work. So, you know, I wasn't going to make any plays on her at that point. But I saw her. I noticed her. I thought she was very attractive. And she was a competitive dancer. So fit and everything. But many years later, she's divorced. I hook up with her. I went to her birthday. We did some stuff. And I still like her, by the way. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying. Oh, wow, I'm so congested this afternoon. Excuse me. So, we've gone out a couple times. I knew she liked me. I went over to her place. Some personal stuff had happened. She broke down and was crying about it. You know, I always got the extra bandana on me, a clean one, you know, giving her a hug, everything's cool. And, you know, we get along so well. One thing leads to another, and we end up sleeping together, you know, at her place. And it was pretty good. Pretty good. And she's over 50, and she looked pretty good. She was, the only thing, you know, I'm going to pick on her. I'm not going to obviously mention her name, but I'm just going to let you get into my brain about how this progressed in my mind, so you understand my point of view here. And I'm not saying that what I'm about to tell you is you have to agree with me. It's just how it is for me personally. I'm not going to make any excuses for it. This is who I am. For one thing, she was much heavier than she had been when I met her earlier. She had some sort of ankle injury or something at some point, and she had it corrected and everything, but she hasn't recovered from it 100%. She's not exercising enough to lose the fucking weight. And one of the things that annoys me is you can't bullshit me on that. I've been there, man. I've been much larger than I am now, and I've had the surgeries, and I've had the rehabs. I've had major falls, you know, construction accidents, film business accidents, motorcycle accidents, knee scopes, multiple ankle operations, including scopes and ligament reconstructions. I got a cadaver bone on my wrist, everything, man. Back issue. I've been through the gamut of surgeries and a lot of accidents where I didn't need surgery, but I still had to get rehab. And of course, being a Marine, being a man, my mindset, everything else, I take that shit seriously. I came out, every time I went to rehab, I came out stronger and more fit. But that's my mindset. I can't expect everybody else to have my mindset. But what I can expect, or that's the wrong way to put it, here's the thing. I know what she went through. I know what her issue is. And I know at this point she's just being friggin' lazy. I hate laziness. No friggin' excuse for it. You want to lose some weight? Especially when you say you want to lose weight, or I know I got to lose some weight, and then you don't do anything about it, and you're stuffing your fucking face and everything else. I see what you're doing. I can see it right in front of me. That's not a good look. I don't like that. But I will say, Uh, she, she had great skin and everything, man. She was fun, pretty fun. One of the bummers was like she was so women will understand this. She was so put off by how her relationship failed because this guy was lying to her. He had a whole other relationship going on the side. She eventually met that person and became friends with that woman because that woman didn't know he was lying. And but she can't, even many years later after being divorced, she still can't let it go. Even on social media, she's still constantly posting memes and stuff because she's still angry about this. It's like, you got to get past that. Nobody wants to be around somebody that can't get past that kind of bullshit. Okay, he lied. You're now divorced. You got to move on with your life. If you keep just dragging that shit up, man, just keep bringing it up. And the thing is why are you bringing it up with me? I didn't do anything. You can't stop talking about it. I don't want to hear about it. So that's a fucking problem right there. So we had this great time. The other thing was, she's kind of going through that thing, you know, she's in her 50s. So she's, at night, she's got to have the air conditioning on like it's the friggin' Arctic, you know? I mean, we go out, if we go at it, let me tell you right now, if we're naked in a friggin' igloo and we go at it, we're going to be sweating. You know what I'm saying? But afterwards, you know, you got to warm things up a little bit. You can't sleep like that. You'll freeze to death. That's how I felt in her place. And she snored. Like, the snoring is a thing, man. Like, that's a funny thing to me. I've gone out with so many women where I'll tell them, you know, you snore. Like, I don't snore. I can't hold it because I'm recording myself. I just pick up the phone. Next time you're sleeping over and you're snoring, I turn the camera on you and I'll record you for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of you snoring. And then the next morning, I'll just set up, hey, I want you to watch something. You know, they're watching themselves snore. So I thought you said you don't snore. They don't like that shit. But don't tell me you don't when I'm telling you you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm that guy. All the women right now are like, oh my God, no wonder why this freaking guy's single. Like, I can have a relationship with a woman that snores. We just can't sleep in the same room. We can have sex and have a great time, maybe even fall asleep. But as soon as I get woken up by that, I'm going to have to sleep somewhere else. I need a good night's sleep. I got to use freaking power tools the next day. I can't be half awake. That's why I got all my fingers. Another part of my safety discussion I had at the end of my video the other day, which I think is pretty funny. Yeah, I have my fingers because I get a good night's rest. Matter of fact, if I don't get a good night's rest, I will not use power tools the next day. That's how conscientious I am about that sort of thing. So all that is going down, right? First time we get together. But she's cool. It was a pretty good time. And even though she was heavier than I would have liked, I mean, she was still fun, you know, and everything else was cool. Well, I'm getting really personal. I don't want to gross you out. But the other thing was with her, so the second time I go over there, like a week later, we had such a good time that time. And it's like, okay, we're chomping at the bit. Let's do it again next week. Okay, so I go over there. Okay. So the first time we had gotten together, she looks nice. We went out to dinner. It was the normal adult thing. The second time I go over, we're just going to have dinner at her place, right? Because, you know what's going to happen now. This is just about the, you know. So, which is fine. She's actually a really good cook. But I show up. She's literally wearing a muumuu. She's wearing a fucking tent, man. There's nothing sexy about a muumuu. Ladies, that's just giving up, man. That's a thing in your mind like, I already got him. I don't have to try anymore. A fucking muumuu on the second date? That is some bullshit right there. And so now, once you do that to me, now with the gears in my brain, I'm like, why the fuck is she wearing a goddamn fucking muumuu? That is you're supposed to try to make yourself look sexy. Like, aren't you happy? Like, we talked throughout the week, we're egging ourselves on, we're going to have this good time, and you're wearing a fucking muumuu? I put the effort in. I was looking pretty good. Fucking muumuu. Fucking muumuu. Anyhow, I still can't get over that. A fucking muumuu. So, now I'm like, that's a sign. That's got me a little concerned. She's still talking shit about her ex. And then I get her in this position, you know, I put her leg up, you know, I looked at her feet, I looked at her foot, and, you know, the little toe, you know your little toe? Like, she just, here's the thing about me. I give myself my own pedicures, you know, I take care of my feet, my hands and everything. And I think that you should be doing that too. And ladies, if you don't want to do it and we're going out and I'm into you, I'll give you a fucking pedicure. Or I'll pay for you to get one. Just take care of that stuff. Because if you've got some giant callus on your pinky toe that's grown over the toenail itself, and it just looks like something that belongs on a homeless person, that's kind of a turnoff. I'm just saying. Like, I know... I know you're supposed to not care about the physical thing all that much. It's what's on the inside, all that. Yeah, not when you got a freaking callus that, looks like it belongs on Wilma Flintstone's foot. You know what I'm saying? Not cool, man. That's not cool. So now I got the moo-moo. I got the foot thing going on. We're messing around. And, I'm talking to her. She never, I gave her the favor. I went down there, man. I'm into it. I'm having a good time. Hygiene's important. Her hygiene was great. There's another thing, ladies, which we're going to get into here in a second. I'm pulling out all the stops on this one. You asked, Tom. You're getting the answer now. So, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, she didn't go down there. She didn't do it to me. And I asked her about it, afterwards. She goes, oh, I'm not into that. My husband used to make me do that all the time. Again, I said to her, yeah, well, I'm not your husband. And, that's happened to me before. I've been with women, and they'll say that. Oh, I don't do that. It was nice knowing you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Get the fuck out of here. You don't do... I get it. You don't do it, fine. That should be... You should actually wear that on a t-shirt on a first date, ladies. First date. If you are not into that, going down on the dude, that you just wear that on a t-shirt. If you met... online dating, that should be part of your dating profile. That should be a question. What color hair, what's your weight, where do you live, do you go down? That should be on the profile. I need to know that right now, because if you don't, that's not your thing. Not going to even judge it. Not telling you you have to do it or you should do it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But you ain't doing nothing with me now, because I need somebody who's willing to do that, because I like that sort of thing. All right? I'm just saying. But that's another thing, too, just sexual compatibility. I don't know if it's the Greek thing. I make the joke that it is. But I've got a high sex drive, man. I like doing it. And I like to make it an event. And it takes a while with me. And I want to do all these fun things. And it's a good time. And a lot of women can't handle that. Especially the really, really hot ones. Really hot women, I almost never go after them. Because in my experience, most of them, they're like 10 to 20 minutes of it, they've had enough. If you haven't finished by that time, they start thinking in their own minds that there's something wrong with them. Then they start thinking there's something wrong with you. Whereas, no, I'm a... I was going to say almost stud, but I'm a friggin' stud, man, like that. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. I'm going to rock your world in a way where you're going to be like, that is the best time I've ever had. That's always my goal, just like my table. Just like everything else when I put effort into something, I try to be the best at it. And that includes fucking. I'm just saying. You can't always be like that with somebody because there's a give and take there. So you can only go so far with some people, or you can just tell, and which brings me to the vagina. So, because ladies, and I know so many of you are couples and you're watching this, Tom, and you and your wife are watching this, you don't have any of these problems, I'm sure. But think back to when you were first dating. Okay? Ladies, if you're going to get it on with a dude, I'm going to give you a little tip here. It's getting hot and heavy. You're making out. There's some groping going on. You need to excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, take a couple fingers, and just check that. Just check it, all right? Because if you don't, and then I discover it, that's fucked up, man. What is with that? And I get it. There's a thing going on there. It's all on the inside, and it's a thing. Just wash a little. That's a thing. At this point in my life, I feel like if I'm with somebody now and she hasn't done that, I might just try to turn to a kinky thing, let's go in the shower first. Let's start in the shower together. I've had to come up with all these things because there's been times, man. There's been times where you start doing it. It's just a couple times. It's like, what the fuck is it? What crawled up inside of you and died? What is that? What is that? Oh, that's freaking disgusting. What the hell, man? Now, I know there's women watching this right now, and you're going, well, men can think. Okay, that's gross. If a man has that kind of thing going on, that's disgusting. You should never talk to that guy again. Never. I can actually accept it from a woman because we're built different. But everything with a man's on the outside. I am clean, man. I got a friggin' bidet. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not screwing around with my hygiene. Learn that in the Marines. Like, anyhow. So you asked Tom. So these are some of the things. These are just some of the things. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. Like, I'm not going to tell you the few times that that's happened. Like, it has happened, and literally, we're in it, and as soon as I get that odor, it's like, what the? I get off, and I'll say something like, you need to go take a shower. And that is a fucked up thing to do, but I can't fake that. I can't. What am I going to do? I don't have my gas mask anymore from the Marine Corps. I suppose I could put a gas mask on and keep fucking, but that's even worse. Wouldn't that be worse? That would be worse. That would be worse, right? If I just tell you, if I tell you to go take a shower, you got to know what that's about. And it's pretty much over at that point too. But I was in Greece one time. I've been many times, but I met this Italian girl. This is an example of, like, I'm not totally grossed out by everything. Like, I could still get past something if the circumstances are correct. Because I was with this girl, Loredana. Gorgeous. Really pretty girl. Green eyes, blonde hair. I got a thing for thickly built blondes. That goes back to high school. This girlfriend I had. Maybe we'll talk about her. Because your past sticks with you, your formative years, like what you go through when you're young, it sticks with you. That's why they call it your formative years. So this gal, we were getting it on, man. We were on the beach on this island, the Mediterranean, and there's a sand dune, and I roll her around, and all of a sudden I reach down, and there's shit everywhere. Shit. And I'm like, what the hell? And she goes down, she goes, caca. She's like, what the? We're both like, so somebody had shit on the beach. Because for a second there, I thought it was her. So we both got in the water, just cleaned ourselves off, but we didn't miss a beat after that. We kept going, man. It was like a week with her. That was a crazy time. she just, okay. I'm telling you everything. So she, her English was atrocious, and but better than my Italian. I picked up some Italian hanging out with her, which was fun, but trying to communicate with her about a few things was tough because we were going at it, man, a couple times a day, every single day, 2-3 times a day, and I was so here's the thing with me, I'm not bragging. It's a hard thing to talk about, but it's important. You ladies need to know this because you're asking, Tom. You're asking, so I'm telling you. Women, the hair down there on the sides of that coveted area, I can't have any hair there. Look at me. I'm a thickly built man. All of my anatomy is thickly built. And I know it's too TMI, but I'm just saying with her, if there's hair there, I'm pulling that in and out. The sides of me start looking like road rash. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to explain that to her, but she's not understanding. I literally had to take out a pencil with my pad, which I was doing the whole time I was there. Everywhere I had to go talk to somebody, if I couldn't communicate with hand signals and whatnot, I would just draw a picture and they'd get it. So I had to draw a picture of the leg spread with a vagina hairy and explain to her that we have to remove this hair here, just leave this here so you still look like an adult woman, not a child. It's like the crazy nonsense I went through to make her understand that we had to remove that hair from that area. Otherwise, we couldn't have kept going. I had to heal for a couple days. It was bad. So I'm just saying, I'll put up with shit if it's worth it. She was great, man. She really liked me. I really liked her, but I'm not made of money. I couldn't go back there all the time to go see her, and that bummed her out. So that didn't last, obviously. That's a long distance relationship. There's a definition of a long distance. Yeah, she lives in Italy. I live in Los Angeles. That's kind of hard to make that one work. I always wonder what happened to her. So you got a couple stories there. And as far as like, if I'm going to get into the physical attribute thing, you know, other than, like I said already, be positive minded, be smart, be funny. Don't take yourself so seriously. All that stuff. Good hygiene. You know, take care of your feet and hands. I would think normal stuff. The stuff that a normal human being, you have to be self-aware of what you look like. You know, you should be taking care of this stuff. So there's that stuff. But somebody who, I like fit women, but I'm not necessarily in the gym rats, you know, because that's an obsessive behavior. Like, I stay just fit enough. I do just enough to do what I need to do to remain fit enough to do what I do. And it has the side effect of, you know, you look better if you're more fit. That attitude is what I like. And it'd be nice to be with somebody who wants to get up early in the morning. A lot of women don't want to get up early in the morning. A lot of women, you can't get them out of bed. So somebody wants to get up in the morning, go for a walk, go for a hike, something like somebody likes to be out adventuring, get me back into being more of the outdoorsman I grew up being, going to the beach, going fishing, whatever, taking the van and going camping, that sort of thing. But I have this funny thing about size. It's a thing for me. And it's always been tough, man, because it took me a long time. I finally started asking these women, because larger women have always liked me. My height and taller and larger, like big women, man, 160 pounds, 180 pounds, 200 pounds. I'm not talking big fat ones, but them too. I learned this lesson when I was a bartender. You can't ever make eye contact with a fat chick twice. I'm just saying. Because you'll be scanning the room, doing your job, and there's this girl sitting at the end of the bar. Let's just say she happens to be a large woman. And you just look up and eye contact. She's looking right at you. And you look at her, and then, okay, you go back to your thing. You don't think anything of it. You look around, you look up, you make eye contact the second time, you got maybe 5 minutes before she's right here. She's right here now. You've just opened the door, and now you can't get rid of her. I'm just telling you. It's the crazy thing. So, and look, if you're actually nice, and you're pretty, and you're cool, I'm okay with having a good time. You know, who am I to refuse anybody? But after that happening so many times in my life, I started asking them, like, what is it? Like, why me? And every single time the answer was the same. It was, well, you look like you could pick me up. So bigger women have this issue with, like, they want to be manhandled. Maybe not all the time, but from time to time. They want a man to be able to pick them up and pick them up, you know, and throw them around. That's what they want. That was the thing. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. But I could do that for a good time, and I could do that for a good time plenty of times. But that's not somebody I can be with all the time. It's too much, man. I feel like I'm in bed with a dude, you know? I just can't. Sorry if I'm insulting anybody. Not my intention. Do not want to be insulting anybody in this video. I'm just being honest about who I am. So, like, if you're my height or taller, then you're going to have to at least be very thin, probably, you know? Even then, it's just too much. I tend to prefer tinier women. I just like that more, personally. And I think I said it before. I said this before, because of bigger women, everything's bigger about them, right? So, like, their head is big. Like, I said this story before, but there was this really, obviously, I mean, she was a pinup model, so she was very attractive. And she was 5'9" or 5'10", or maybe 5'11", I don't know. And because of that, you know, her hands were bigger, her feet were bigger, her head was fucking bigger. I mean, she's a big human being. And so when she's down here doing her stuff, I'm looking down. She's making me look small, and I'm not small. You know, and it wasn't small for her. She loved it. But it was a visual thing for me, and I couldn't get past that visual thing. Like, I had to bring it up and make a joke about it. I just couldn't get. I could have probably gotten past that, and the truth is, with her in particular, that could have been a thing with her. I could have gotten past all that with her in particular, but she was. We were both not at that. Was bad timing, because we were both. I wasn't weren't fucking at the time necessarily. I was just living my life, and if somebody came along, maybe. But I know she was probably dating other people, and she was on the hunt too. And she had some personal stuff that she couldn't get past. Um, it's a kind of a shame too, because she had a child that didn't live very long. It's really sad, and she loved that kid, and we all know about it in this community, and so it was a thing. And she would always talk about her and still go to the grave and whatnot, and I think that's kind of sweet, but at the same time, I kept thinking like, man, that's interesting, because I don't know, that was a weird thing for me. Not knocking that, not judging it, but there was something in my mind that was like, I don't know, that's odd to me. But whatever, not trying to judge that. But and yeah, she was on the hunt, and actually she married a guy. This is really interesting. If you put me and that guy next to each other, we look like we could be brothers. I mean, he's got the beard and everything. His nose is a little bit bigger, and he's thinner, but we're very similar in looks. So she definitely had a type. She's a great girl, actually. She's very cool. I'd actually like to still talk to her, but I'm not that kind of guy. I wouldn't intrude on that. Again, righteous behavior. I'm not that kind of guy. There's been a few in my life, like married women, but I've never hunted that down. And it was always, at least the story from them is, they're only married because the kids, it's a business relationship sort of thing. They're not in love anymore. They sleep in separate rooms. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. And that wasn't until later in life anyhow. It's not like I'm not that guy. I wouldn't want to, why would I do that to some other dude? That's not a nice thing to do, But women, again, and I suppose men could do this too, but I don't know. I don't date men. But I've definitely been with quite a few women that said all the things that they needed to say to me to get what they wanted, which was just to get with me. And then later I discovered they were just lying. And that's not cool. I just can't stand that. So, yeah. And I've definitely been screwed over many times with women. So, and it's funny, I'll tell you, back down right around 2000 to 2006, 2007, like in that period, a lot of weird stuff had gone down. And I remember I eventually stopped dating women altogether, like purposely at that time. Because I had my heart broken, like, bam, 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 3 or 4 times in a row. And a lot of these women, all of them were really hot too. Like, and I do have a thing for blondes, I suppose. That's not the only thing, but they tend to be the ones that like make me stupid, basically. Green eyes, blonde hair, fit, great skin, all that stuff. There was this girl I went out with, and I think she just did it. We became friends. We kind of worked together a little bit. I would hire her as a designer on some projects. And God, she was so hot. Oh my God. I'll tell you how good looking she was. She did, she worked for a company. She got hired out to be a princess for parties for little girls, for kids. So it's like, that's how good she looked, like a princess. That's what she looked like. Perfect. At least in my eyes. And the body was incredible. Thin, but with curves in the right places, let's say, And I remember, and I really think she only got with me, I think we only did it once, maybe twice. I really think it was just a pity fight on her part. I think she was just like, I know he just wants it. Like, and she just was throwing me a bone just to be a kind. She did her good deed for the day, basically. Thank you. Thank you so much. I should call her up and just thank her. But she did get with a guy, and they got a kid now, and it's all good. We're all still friends. I'm friends with a lot of these women still. But I just remember, we're in bed, we're naked, and she's on her belly, and I'm behind her. We're kind of done, and I'm just kind of checking her out and rubbing on her and everything, and I happen to look right at her ass. And I'm looking at her a little, it sounds disgusting, but I'm not perving out on it. I'm just saying. I just happen to notice. And I'm just looking at the anus there. And I'm just thinking to myself, even her anus is perfect. Like, what? Like, everything in my mind, everything, her skin, her feet, her hands, her everything, she was, in my mind, just a friggin', like, put together by a mold like just everything about her physically was, and she was actually a really nice person too. So, but she had goals, man. She had this big board in her apartment, all the things that she wanted to achieve, and she was throwing the spaghetti at the wall, man, seeing what would stick. And in the end, I think she just found some guy with money. That's what happened, you know. Like she wasn't getting where she wanted to get. She didn't really have that talent, like to be the actress I think that she wanted to be, but she had the looks and she was a kind person. But I'm telling you, even her friggin' asshole was good looking. And that's a crazy thing to say. Like, if you were an artist and you were going to say, I'm going to draw a perfect asshole, it's going to be beautiful, that would have been it. Like, her asshole was so good looking, she could have just had a picture of her asshole in her yearbook picture from high school. That's how good looking her asshole was. I don't know why I'm going off the deep end. I'm Greek. Maybe I'm predisposed to, like, notice these things. I hope you're enjoying this, Tom. So, I mean, have I said enough for you to kind of understand why I'm single? Okay, this guy right here. This guy you've heard talking, I mean, it's got to be close to an hour now, I'm guessing. Really? Really? I think you should be able to tell by now I am definitely not for everybody. The kind of woman who can handle me being who I am, that's a tough order, man. That is a tall order. And I don't know if I'm ever going to see an asshole that pretty again. There's one of the things about living alone and being alone is you better be able to entertain yourself. Because if you can't, you will be an unhappy, miserable person. Which will bring me to another point here. Already being happy. Ladies, first of all, you need to have lived alone for a period of time. Men too. Everybody, every single one of you watching me right now, you've got no business jumping into a serious relationship until you know who you are. At least that's how I feel about it. I don't know that I'm right about it. It's how I feel about it. Because I don't want to get too off on a tangent here. That would be more of a kind of a philosophical discussion. Like I'd probably go on for another 3 hours on that topic. But I believe that. I believe that as an adult, you need to have spent a good amount of time alone with yourself, testing yourself, learning, growing, learning what makes you happy, becoming a happy person. That should be a goal. If you're not a happy person, then just know you're going to make everybody else in your life miserable. You're going to make everybody else in your life work way harder than they need to. And there's a lot of guys that will put up with so much shit just to be with somebody. I'm not that guy. I'm just not that guy. There's guys that cannot be alone. There's guys that they need somebody, and women too, right? There's people in this world, they have to be with somebody else. They need that partner. They need somebody to do things for them and uplift them and all. And a lot of people are going, you do too, man. You do too. You need it too. You're not wrong. But I'm not going to put up with a bunch of bullshit for that. So it has to be, I need a high level individual. That's just how it is. Respect is huge. Which is I probably half the shit I'm saying right now for the couples watchers. You've been going, no kidding, like you've been doing that for the whole time I've been talking. I need to feel that way. I need to look up to somebody. You know, there is a girl. There's this one woman. She's way too young for me, I'm sure. I'm going to tell you her name. I don't actually know her. We've exchanged. She knows who I am. I know who she is. She's on social media. Her name is Elizabeth Halen. She's a bit of a fitness freak. But there's something about her face. I think she's strikingly attractive. I mean, she's got a gap in her teeth and all that. Doesn't bother me. It's green eyes, super fit. That's her thing. I think she's a trainer, eats real healthy and all that. But she's also a really good artist. Like an incredible, like freak talent. And she could, with pen and ink, she could make photorealistic drawings just out of her head. And she sells them. that's kind of the sort of person. Like I need to be. I'm attracted to women who are accomplished. I'm attracted to women who've done something in their lives. I'm attracted to women who get up every day and they're self-motivated and they make things happen. Again, they find their own happiness. They're already happy. They seemingly don't need somebody else. That's how I am. You know, I think that's, but the problem is that type of person is exactly like me. They're not looking for anybody else either. There's the fucking paradox, man. You know, right? How's that for an irony? The women I want aren't looking because they don't feel the need to, just like I'm not looking because I don't feel the need to. So it's like two ships passing in the wind, you know, in the night. That's the problem. That is a problem for me. Like, if it's going to happen for me, it's probably going to have to be a setup, you know. And that, oh man, a few years ago, my buddy's wife and this other woman I know back in Jersey. I wish I could talk. Well, I won't say that woman. God damn it, I ruined it. There's a funny, well, I will tell you this, just so you know how righteous of a person I am, and then I'll get back to this. And this is so fucked up, man. This is so messed up. It's so bad, but it's you know, it's just not right. Well, if I haven't known you that well, let's say I start dating somebody, and I'm digging you, you know, but then we come around your friends, and one of your girlfriends I find like even more attractive than you, I'm gonna pull away out of that whole situation. Like, I won't continue to date you because I'm attracted to your girlfriend. I once was going out with a girl a long time ago, you know, a long time ago in my 20s, and she was very pretty, great family. Family loved me. I like curly hair too. She had curly hair, blue eyes, kind of a waif type figure on her. Fun, loved to do stuff, all of it. And I went to hang out with her and her parents at the house, and two things happened. First, I saw a picture of her when she was young, and she unfortunately, she had been an ugly duckling, man. Like, there was a picture of her, and I was looking at it like, oh, Jesus. She wasn't now. Now she was gorgeous. But then I met her sister. Her sister walked in the house, and I went, oh, fuck. And that was it. I had to break up with her because I knew it wasn't going to work. There was no way I could be with her if I found her sister attractive. There's no way. So for her, like, I felt like I was doing this woman a favor by pulling away. Now, I don't know that was the right thing to do. A lot of you people right now are going, this guy is a mess. This guy's fucked up, whatever. But that's just me with my own code, right? Again, being a righteous human being. That's just how it is. Because I know the world, man. I know how this works. People do it all the time. People get married, and then, you know who you cheat with? You know who people cheat with? They cheat with the people who are around. Their best friends, their best friends' wives, their best friends' husbands, their own family members, the sister of the wife, the mother. Oh God, I got stories, man. I got some stories. But I've seen it my whole life. That's what happens. I don't want to be one of those people, which is another reason why I stayed single so long. Is I always kind of liked variety, you know? But again, we're just talking sex, and sex isn't everything, but for a large portion of my life, that's pretty much all I was really had the time for. Even, you know, I'm just being honest. That's how it is. So, this girl from high school that kind of ruined me for women. I'll describe her to you physically. About 5'2", blonde hair, blue eyes, great skin. Yeah, we're all beach kids at the time. And she had, okay, this is crazy. She was a hurdler. People from back home, if anybody's watching this, you're going to know who I'm talking about. She was a hurdler, varsity, athlete, 5'2", 36 double Ds. Ass and big meaty thighs on her, but tiny waistline and washboard abs. It was like a cartoon character. It was like, matter of fact, years later, we were on and off again for years. And I was here back in the 90s, and she came out here for her girlfriend's wedding. I went to high school with as well. That was a fucked up time. I'll tell you that story. This could have been like the one that got away. Maybe I'll save it. I'll save it for the one that got away. I'll do her on the one that got away. I'll tell the whole thing with her because there's a lot there. But when she sent her measurements to the tailor for the bridesmaid's dress, the tailor did not believe that the measurements were real. That's how crazy her body was. Why did I bring this up? I was going to tell you guys something else that was all effed up. And then she came to mind, and I figured, but that's what I had that in high school. I mean, it's just so crazy, man. I just think back to this. But those are the things that you like when you're young, and then it kind of sticks with you. So I can understand why that's there. Damn it, I was going to say something. I feel like I want to pause the camera now, but this has gone on. I was going to get to another point. I think I've talked long enough. I think you guys got it. Now, everybody watches right now is going, no wonder why this guy's single. No wonder. Makeup is a thing too for me. I feel like a woman, I want the woman to look good without the need for makeup. Like online dating and whatnot, if I'm looking at pictures of women on there and every picture they're wearing makeup, like a ton of makeup, eyeliner, lipstick, the whole deal, no matter how good they look, that's an X for me because I'm scared. What are you going to look like without the makeup? You know? We've all seen it. We know, there's some people, they just, it's a whole different person, man. And that's the thing too, like with these days with, what is it? Plastic surgery, right? You got to be honest, man. If you, ladies, men, you meet your significant other and you fall for one another, you better be honest about any type of corrective surgery that you've had. Because if you had some nose that stuck out to here and you don't tell this person, listen, I'm totally in you. This is great. Oh, yeah, fair warning. I'm just letting you know I had a nose job. By the way, I have not had a nose job. I'm saying. This is all me. I've never had any elective surgeries. Look, I'm not that great looking. This is just what you see is what you get. I'm just saying, if you ever had your nose done, you've got to tell the person that you've fallen in love with, who's fallen in love with you, that you had your nose done. Because if you decide to have kids, and that kid comes out, and they got a friggin' Jimmy Durante nose hanging off their face, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, man. You've got to be honest about this stuff. It's nuts. So that's how I feel about makeup, too. Makeup scares the hell out of me. Especially makeup, like, when people are doing outdoor activities. Like, that's, I get it. It's different if you're doing something where you want to look good because the camera and stuff like that. That makes total sense. But, people that are putting that on to be playing tennis or something, or I don't even know. You're hiking out in the woods and it doesn't make any sense. So, not knocking that. I'm just saying for me personally, it scares me because I don't want to wake up next to somebody one day and go, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? That's the other thing. I can't tell you how many times, dozens and dozens of times, where I've had so many short relationships because you meet somebody. I'm always me, in case you haven't figured this out yet. Those of you who know me and those of you who have met me, after you've watched me here, when you meet me in person, you learn, oh shit, this is exactly who this guy is. Same guy, always the same dude. A lot of women I've dated were pretending to be a version of themselves that they thought I wanted just because they wanted me. And that act that they're putting on can only last so long. And I know when it's happened. It's a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever. You finally get to a point where one day you wake up next to each other and that is not the person who that person has been up until that point. They start talking about all this crazy shit, or their personality is totally different, and it's like you realize like this has been an act. Like once they feel comfortable enough to be their true selves, That's just happened to me so many times, man. That's messed up, man. I've never pretended to be anything that I'm not. Ever. Ever. Never saw the need for it. Don't lie. Don't. What's the point? What's the point? So we all need to stop lying. We need to learn to become. If you don't like something about yourself, become a better person. It's actually not that hard. You can. I really believe I did it. I know it because I'm a work in progress all the time. You should be a work in progress all the time. Like if I met somebody who, this is great actually. Thank you, Tom. If I met somebody and I really liked a whole bunch of things about her, and the number one thing would be the honesty part. If I can tell you exactly what I think without you taking it personally and getting mad at me, that's the biggest thing, right? So if you said to me, look, I know I got some issues and I could be a little harsh or overly cynical or whatever, but I'd like to be a better person, then I would say, okay, baby, I'll tell you what. What we could do is and whatever it is about me that maybe you don't like, let's work on that together. So when you get cynical, I could go, hey, there you go again. Like if I can needle you about it in a fun way, that's fine. I want that a little bit. I've always said at any point in my life, if I had met a woman 10 years earlier that we had this really good thing, I'd have $1 million in the bank right now or more, because I know I would make all that happen. But you need that person to support you and uplift you and all that. And I've just never run across it. There was always too much tumultuous bullshit to get through, and I never really got through all of that. So that's it. Just too many. I'm not. Now again, let me correct myself a little bit. When I was younger, I just wasn't even all that interested in getting that serious with somebody. And I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. I had this epiphany later in life because I had a bit of a negative thing about women for a long time because I couldn't understand. Look, you don't have to sleep with somebody the first time you go out with them. Newsflash. It doesn't have to happen. And I would meet these girls that are not, I think they're just nice girls and everything, but boom, first time we're together, we end up having sex. So I went through my life thinking, because when that would happen, my mind was, and this is wrong, it was the wrong way to think. I was wrong. But I would think to myself, if she's doing that with me, who else is she doing that with? And that would get into my brain. It would fuck me up and I wouldn't trust them. It wasn't until decades later where I was thinking about it and I finally realized, like, no, this was all my fault because I was charming and disarming and I had all these qualities that made these women feel comfortable enough to go all the way. So that was all my fault. I didn't realize that. And how I learned it was because of social media, because, I come from a time when social media didn't exist. And around 2010, I suppose, I got on there with MySpace or Facebook or something. I don't even remember. 2020, probably 2020. I don't remember. 2020, no, that was only 4 years ago. 2000. I don't know. 2010, I suppose. But my point is, whenever I got on social media, and I disappeared from back home for a long time. Nobody knew where I was. So you reconnect with all these people you came up with. And a lot of these women I went out with, short periods of time. A lot of them I didn't go out with. We just had sex. But we're still cool. And so they'd send me a friend's request, or I'd send them one. And then they start writing me notes and all this. And where I would just watch their life. And it's really interesting because I realized, like, wait a second. Most of these women are actually really cool. They got great husbands, they got great kids, they got great families. Any one of them would have been perfect to have made a life with. But because I had that stupid thing in my head, I didn't let it happen. That was all on me, man. All on me. And, there's a communication thing that's hard, especially when you're younger. Because women a lot of them, don't have the same kind of confidence a man could have in that to speak up and go, hey, I like you, blah, blah, blah. And even if they did back then, that would scare me in a way, that kind of directness. Now I appreciate it. Now I want it more. So, I don't know. I hope this answers your question, Tom. I hope this puts things into perspective there. And now a bunch of I guess the titles will be Why I'm Single. This is bad. And again, this is me talking about me. Like the video I did yesterday that was posted this morning with my buddy Tick, I'd rather be doing that. I'd rather be highlighting people I find interesting. I want to do more of that. I want to introduce you to people in my life that I think are cool. And I'd like the channel to take that turn in a way. I'd much rather be doing interviews with people that I think are interesting. And I know a lot of them in my life. The people I consider friends are all people that I respect and look up to because they do something I can't, basically, or that I just don't do. That's what I'd rather be talking about. I don't like this whole talking about me thing, but this is an important topic, and now I've put it out there because, yeah, I would love to have a steady girlfriend, or I would have no problems getting married, honestly. I'm not afraid of that. I've got tattoos. Clearly, I'm not afraid of commitment. You know what I'm saying? No problems. But it's a tall friggin' order. And I think you got that now. Now you understand. So if you're sitting there wondering, now you know why. And I'll tell you this too, because I say this to young guys, what I said earlier, that they're like, I want to live like you and do all these things and be all these girls. No. What I tell them is, if you meet a girl now and she basically, hits all the right buttons for you, make it happen with her. Because what I've found, at least I think, the more experience you have, it's going to make it harder for you to find somebody later in life. Because I think there's too much going on in your brain that you compare things to, I mean, I'm old enough now to get past that, but for a long time that was a problem for me. I'm 100% admitting that. And I don't think I'm perfect. I think I'm far from it. And that was another thing too, not giving myself enough credit or thinking I was worthy. Plenty of women that probably liked me, but I just didn't feel like I was good enough for them. That was another thing. I still have that in me, So like I said, like the super pretty girls, wouldn't that make me stupid when I'm around them? I'm like, like, it's so crazy, man. That's why you always end up with the one that's like not as great, because that's the one you don't care about being yourself around. And then when you're around, which is interesting, because what I'm pointing out here is I'm having this epiphany right now. I should understand that with women, because I've seen that with women with me. If they really like me, they get kind of stupid, And I know now. I'm like, oh, I get it. She probably likes me. But I don't like thinking that too much, because that's my righteous thinking there. Like, I shouldn't be thinking that highly of myself. So there's a lot going on in here, We're complicated as human beings. Basically, I need this perfect, well, in my eyes, the right lady to come along, grab me by the hand, look me right in the face, say, hey, here's the deal. And just have a conversation. Like, I like you. Let's make something happen. I'm down. That's it for now. All right, you guys have a good night. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I made somebody laugh here. I hope I didn't make too many people cry or anything, or didn't shock you too much. Believe me, I've kept this pretty PG. I mean, I know I talked about a beautiful asshole. Like, this could be a much longer video, believe me. But I'm going to let you go for now, because it's getting kind of late, and I should have eaten dinner already by now. It's almost 7 o'clock, so let me go. You guys enjoy your Sunday night, and I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you have a good week ahead of you. Be kind to one another, help one another out, and come back again. I'll see you in the next one.